Hello everyone. This is gonna be my first video on this channel, and if you guys enjoy this kind of content, please consider subscribing. Today I want to talk about my life in the past 21 years and the chaos and what's come of such chaos. So I have this down in bullet points, and I'm just gonna speak uninterrupted and as authentic as possible. So, starting with the foundation, um, I wasn't really a wealthy kid by any means. We were on welfare most of our lives. My dad was in and out of prison in my very young youth. I remember watching him get arrested on Christmas Eve, actually, when I was probably 9 years old or something like that. I remember hugging my father before the police took him away. He was also a really big drug dealer and user at that. So, given all that, my mom was really trying to stay afloat the whole time and you know be that light for me. Um, my grandmother was actually the light for me in my youth. She she means and still does mean a lot to me. Um, in the background, we have Turismo 7. I've always had a passion for cars and gaming, and this has really been my escape. So I guess this is why we're gonna be having that in the background. Um. So yeah. So I grew up with that most of my life. Just in and out battles with prison and fighting at the very young age. Uh, and then towards the end of COVID, my mom ended up moving out after I think I was 16 at that point. So after 16 years, she finally had enough and called it quits. And I remember helping her move out. I brought all her boxes and clothes to our neighbor's car, and she told me that she was going to be back in a week, and you know a week turned into two, and 2 weeks turned into a month, and now it's been 5 years later, and I have yet to live with her and my original father at the same time. Um, because of that, I stayed with my dad because I was very scared that he would kill himself because he's had talks of suicide and whatnot, and he didn't have a job, so we were constantly moving, and every time I moved, we lost more and more pictures, items, memories, etc. Um, I got my first job at 16, and I was giving most of my money to my dad, trying to keep us afloat, working as hard as possible. And it was around the same time where I dropped out of high school so I can work more often, trying to keep us afloat. Um, this was always a concept. It grew with the more money I made. It's like taxes, and I just felt stuck. But feeling stuck, it felt normal to me, and it was a space I felt comfortable in, even though it was just chaos, and everyone was telling me it was unhealthy and whatnot, and but they didn't understand what it was like to be in. Well, I guess no one can, but it's like you don't want to be in anything else because it's not normal to you. A happy family was kind of foreign to me. I guess this was my family. Um, I lost my sister not in a passing away. She moved with my mom, and I lost not all contact, but I lost some contact with her, which kind of sucks. We eventually found my stepmom, who at the time seemed like a very good change, but actually ended up being sort of a psychopath. We were doing good for some time. We uh, we helped her. She was going through a divorce as well. We helped her move out of her original house, and we got this duplex, and it was really nice. We had it paid off for the year, and things were good. We had a trailer. We you know went out to the big city every weekend. It was like a high point of my life, and it's that was very different. Um, but it all started to go down back. Go, it all started to go downhill again. My dad started not dealing, but doing drugs, and one night I remember him uh, convulsing like crazy on my stepmom's bed one time, and everyone's just freaking out. But I grew up in that environment, and it just seemed normal to me, and I wasn't even phased by it. I didn't cry much during that point in my life. Um, I also started. We also started moving again. We moved to another place after that, and I started paying rent again, which didn't help me financially. Um, it's just I've always been the backbone in my family. As as terrible as that is, I'm probably 19 at this point, and it's nothing a 19-year-old should have to go through, but it's what I went through nonetheless, and it's what seemed right at the moment, but I didn't realize how much it was going to affect my future uh, in the coming years. Um, we ended up having a final move, and this is where just everything went downhill. My stepmom has a few kids of her own, and she was in a custody battle with her ex-husband, and um, it wasn't looking good for her. She ended up losing her youngest child to CPS because of her living conditions. My stepmom wasn't working. My dad wasn't working. I was the only one working, minus my stepbrother, but he was part time. I was full time, 40 hours, sometimes OT at 50. Um, the final move was chaos. There was fights constantly because of the stress with the uh, the loss of the youngest child. Um, and I guess that kind of took a toll on everyone's mental health. It was just my dad was in and out of the house again. He was going on his night adventures, doing whatever the hell he's doing, probably something illegal. Um, and it was just chaos. Like the police were at the door all the time for noise complaints because of the fighting. Things were being smashed. My stepmom was talking about killing herself, and you know, well, I probably can't say that on YouTube, but committing die and whatnot, and it was terrible. Like I don't really know how else to express it. It's just things were being smashed constantly. Like it was the house looked like it was being subjected to demolition with how it looked inside. Just at some points, glass everywhere, holes in their own door, a hole in my wall because I got so upset at one point and pulled a Kyle and punched it. But I didn't know how else to express my anger. I didn't have any how do I say this? Any way to just empty my thoughts. I went on night walks a lot, but it never really seemed to help, if I'm being honest. Um, I started smoking nicotine at 18, kind of as a joke, but honestly now probably one of the things that has helped me relax. Um, the final turning points in that chapter was uh, we were getting ready to move. Well, maybe not getting ready because we're never ready for these kind of things, but um, we were getting evicted, and the night of the eviction, my dad had disappeared again, and he wasn't seen for hours and hours and hours and hours, and I had to pack that day because I was so busy with work. I planned on staying up all night and packing, and he wasn't there when I got there. And my stepmom's tripping out again. She's rocking back and forth, talking about unaliving herself with a bunch of pills and whatnot, and this and that. But we had a major fight. My dad ended up coming home at 4 in the morning, and it just all hell broke loose. Police got involved, and it lasted like almost 3 hours. My stepmom ended up ripping apart their own car and whatnot and crashing it into the curb, and it was ridiculous. And so that ended up ending at like 7 in the morning, and then by 8 in the morning we got a knock on the door, and there's 5 or 6 people. One guy already changing our lock to the door, and we were getting evicted. That was it. We were homeless at that point. So I got a storage unit, and I threw whatever I could fit onto a trailer. Lost so much stuff. It just anything I could do in under an hour, I threw onto a trailer and called it quits. Um, thank God for my financial safety net. I wouldn't be anything without that, without saving like crazy. And I remember going to work that day. I went to work the day I went homeless completely. I had nowhere to go at the end of the day. I didn't know what I was going to do, but I needed to go to work as an escape because aside from losing everything, working was my normalcy. I love my job, and so I had to go there. But I remember just not being able to contain myself at all. It's just people, constantly asking me if I'm okay, and just immediately bursting into tears because I wasn't okay. I lost I lost my normalcy. I didn't have anything when I stepped out of work that day. It's just everything's gone. Like it was the first time in my life where I genuinely lost everything. And so, that day ended, and I stepped out of work with whatever clothes I had on my back because aside from my uniform at work, I I had nothing else. And I was just standing at the bus stop, and I was just thinking, I was like, what am I gonna do? Where am I gonna go? I got nothing. So, but I ended up staying at a few hotels and crashed with my mom a few times, my actual mom, and she's doing pretty good in her life. And I remember sleeping downstairs at her place, and come 10 p.m., everyone's in bed, all the lights are off, TVs are all off, and I felt sick. I felt like there was something wrong with me because it, it was it was so quiet. I couldn't deal with the silence. I couldn't deal without the fighting and the screaming and the emotional torture that I was. You know, it was like a withdrawal. Like I felt like I was going through like like withdrawal. Like I don't know to explain it, but I felt sick to my stomach that people weren't fighting constantly. That I didn't hear noises. I didn't hear things banging or dropping, or I didn't get the thrill thinking that it was going to be the last moments until I didn't have that anymore. Which is it sounds psychotic to say, but I feel like anyone who's been in my position would, I guess, kind of understand. I don't know. Um, so yeah, I stayed with her until I got my own place, in which I did 5 days. 5 days later, so I was homeless for about 5 days. Um, so yeah, After I got my place, I cut off all communication with every family member. My aunt, my uncle, my grandmother, my mom, my dad, my stepmom, everyone. I completely isolated myself from family because I needed my time and I needed my escape and I needed the time to breathe and understand my situation. And now where I'm at right now is I'm financially stable. I have my own place. I have a stable job. Well, I presume I'm loved by my coworkers, even though I can be an ass sometimes. I have a great support system, but I'm still dealing with isolation, and my sleep's worse than ever, I think. And yeah, I mean, that's I guess the price I had to pay for not getting out sooner. I'm my own person now, and I never really known how to be my own person until recently. Um, well, I mean, I've always had my sense of independency, but now it's like I own everything. My Wi-Fi is paid under me. My phone, all this is paid by me under my name for the first time in my life, and it's I just clap. Sorry, it's a scary feeling. But if there's anything I want you to take away from this video, it's that you don't have to be the creation of your environment. You don't have to be like the people that you despise in your life. You don't have to be, you know, a dead tree in some, I don't know, some expression explaining what I'm explaining. You don't have to be the environment that you're in. You can do so many great things. You can get out as whenever you want. You could do this, you could do that. You could be a space person or an astronaut, that's what they're called. You could do so many things, but you don't have to stay there. You don't have to torment yourself like I did for years on years end after turning 18 or even 17, 16. People are moving out at 16. You don't have to be in that life that you despise. You don't have to be like those people. So, I don't know how good this is gonna come out. I'm only doing one take. If you guys enjoy this sort of content and my story, please let me know by dropping a like and comment something that you guys want me to talk about. Maybe I have a story about it and I'll pick it in the next video. But I'm gonna keep my name uh, private and people in my life private for the time being. Maybe I'll do something, but I just want, for those who listen, I just want to say thank you, and really hope that you get the help that you need through what you're going through, and you don't have to do this alone. You're not alone, whether it be God or support system. You're not alone.